So welcome back, and boy, we're finally prepared to stitch. So in the previous video, we threaded the needle and created a knot on the thread length for the size 5 pearl cotton that you're using, the aqua or Monet DMC color variations for the sea turtle. And so we'll talk about stitching the hexagons, and you would treat the half hexagons basically the same way. So we're right at step 7 and 7A, B, C, and D. Thank you again for joining us with the Southeastern Quilt and Textile Museum and Laura Bosma, your stitching host, Pretty Penny Pre-Cuts. So the hexagons that I'm going to start with are here. There's actually 7 of them. I think in the video somewhere in the beginning I said 6, but I always managed to place this one separately from the rest and count it as 6. But there are actually 7 full hexagons. And we need to stitch the perimeter of each one of those 7. So that's what we're speaking to. Most of the motifs, gosh, I think all of them, even the head, with the exception of the eyes, almost all of them have a convex, meaning sticking out point. Some of them are gentle points, and then some of them are a more specific point. And so I do want to speak to getting that tacked down and tacked down well. So that's where we are at. So I'm going to start you probably right in the middle, again with my off-color thread, so that hopefully you can see what we're doing. We'll play with that a little bit. There is a nice contrast in this thread, so I may end up just switching back to it if I feel like it doesn't help that much to see it in a different color. So I'm in the center, again with the wrong color thread on purpose so that you can hopefully see what you're doing. I'm gonna lift it up and put, again, I'm right-handed, so my left hand goes underneath the work. So I basically put a little bit of air in it. And again, this is my center hexagon right here. So I want to get in. From the back to the front, I'm just going to come out, and I actually am going to come out at one of the points. And I came through only the sand colored part, the beige. I haven't stitched into the aqua shell portion of the wool yet. So I've come out. Now, if you're new to this, I want you to periodically turn your work over. And in this particular case, my knot's right there. Make sure that you haven't left extra dangling, because that means that you didn't pull it through enough. You need to pull it through so that you feel it stop pulling. Don't yank on it so hard that it comes through. If normal pulling pulls it out, your knot is not large enough, and I'll need you to go back in. In our previous video, you saw I wrapped it twice. With this size 5 thread, I think it makes plenty big enough a knot, but if you find that when you pull it, your knot pulls through, I need you to wrap it 3 times. You'll have to kind of do some troubleshooting with that. And I see, actually, I didn't even come out on the center, but you get the idea, it's close enough. So I'm at a point. For the very first stitch, I want to literally make a complete circle. So I'm just going to use my eye. If you need to do some very minor marking with your pencil so that you know what 1/4 of an inch is as you work around these, then go ahead and do that, whether it's dashes or dots, but keep it very light. I've stated throughout the project, when you're marking, don't mark so that you can see it 20 feet away. You need to mark it to see it 10, 12, 11, 13 inches away, whatever your field of vision is from your eyes to the work. That's as dark as it needs to be, just so that if you need to see it. I'm going to just kind of eyeball down 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to go to the back, and I'm going to swoop right back up to the front at that same point. So my first stitch is literally making a complete circle. I like that because I know that's going to hold that point down. And then I'm going to eyeball 1/4 of an inch away, and in this case, technically to do it correctly, I should be moving to the left. I'm going to employ my thumb to kind of keep this additional thread out of the way. And I'm not looking across the bottom. These stitches inside the hexagon are going to be closer together than the ones on the outside. But I'm just going to eyeball across this edge, and I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch and then up. When I bring my needle up, I'm not ending through the wool. I'm coming right at the margin or border, and I'm coming up through the cotton the fabric that we're calling sand. And then I'm going to pull that to the sky through this loop. See that? Almost looks like I'm going to tie a knot, but what I'm literally doing is it stops it. And I've got a horizontal thread laying across there and a vertical thread laying here. And then I'm going to put that on repeat. I'm going to go over another 1/4 of an inch and down a 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to swoop up. I'm going to come up at the border or margin of the blue or aqua wool and my sand, and I'm going to pull up through the circle again. And that's my second stitch. I'll do a third one. And you might get into a rhythm where you realize, oh, I'm going to have 3 straight stitches and then 1 slightly diagonal one to catch that corner or point. And if you can get into a rhythm like that, it's not super important that you have the same number, but I think it'll go faster if you figure out what your most efficient number is. And again, for me, I think it's 3 straight ones and then a slightly diagonal one on those points. So now I'm going to put in my next 3 straight ones. Here's number 2. And here's my number 3. And then again, I'm just going to eyeball, and again, it's moving in. Notice that these diagonal ones are much closer to each other than the other ones. And then I'm going to come up at the point. And then I'm just going to put that on repeat until I get all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video there so it's a little bit of a shorter version, and then I'll show you how to end on the wrong side with this so that my video clips stay nice and short.